Hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, namaste. I hope everyone is doing well. This is Ritesh and I'm back with another video in MGCP series. Today we are going to learn about MGCP configuration. We'll be seeing MGCP configuration on both call manager and gateway. So we'll see what commands are used in voice gateway to enable MGCP and how the MGCP gateway gets configured. And we'll also see on the call manager side what are the various steps to create or configure MGCP gateway. So first we will start with the call manager configuration of MGCP configuration on the call manager side. I'll also show you how to exactly do that on one of my lab call managers. Before that, let me show you. I have a PPT config, a slide as well for that. So what we do in the call manager is we go to device section, gateway, and do a add new. So it looks something like this. Then we have to select the model of the router. So here gateway type would be, when we are configuring a MGCP gateway, our gateway type in call manager would be the model of the voice gateway that we have and that we want to configure as MGCP gateway. So the model can be uh, seen, or you can find the model of the voice gateway by doing a show version on the voice gateway side. So if you go to privilege mode of the voice gateway and do a show version, it will show you what type of model is the voice gateway. It can be 2829, 3839, 44, 4300 series, any of those. So you have to be specific with the voice gateway model. And after selecting the voice gateway model here in the from the list, do next, and you will get an option to select the protocol. So configuring a MGCP or skinny gateway involves the same steps. So it only changes on the third step where you have to select the protocol as MGCP. If you want to configure the same gateway as SCCP or skinny, you have to choose SCCP. And when you want to configure the same gateway as MGCP, choose protocol type as MGCP and then proceed to next. And this is the final configuration page of the MGCP gateway, where you have to give the domain name and the CUCM manager group. These two informations are very important. So domain name is actually a combination of host name dot domain name of the voice gateway. So host name will be the name of the voice gateway. Domain name can be configured by using the command IP domain name and the name of the domain. So the complete domain name on this voice gateway domain name option would be hostname dot domain name. Let me show you with an example quickly. So suppose suppose you have a voice gateway where you can configure the host name of the voice gateway using the command host name and the name of the router. So example, the exact command would be host name, and suppose you want to put the name of the router as XYZ lab, and then you have to configure the domain name of the router using the command IP domain name and then domain name. So the exact command would be IP domain name, and the name of the domain, suppose you want to put the name of the domain as mycompany.com. So after configuring these two, the exact domain name that you have to put here in place of domain name, which is star marked, would be host name dot domain name. So the complete name would be in the MGCP configuration page of CUCM would be xyz lab dot mycompany dot com. So this is the complete name that you have to put in place of domain name, in front of domain name on this MGCP configuration page. And this is case sensitive, so be careful while you are entering this domain name. This host name dot domain name is case sensitive. If you are configuring this name in a capital letters on voice gateway, and here on call manager, if you are or maybe by mistake you entered the lower name in the lower case, the voice gateway will not get registered with the call manager. So it's completely case sensitive. CUCM group is as per your organization's requirement, and it depends what CUCM group you want to configure. The CUCM group will have 3 call manager servers listed under one CUCM group. I mean, maximum can be 3. Some organizations keep only 2 call manager servers. So this is the call manager server where the MGCP voice gateway will try to register itself. So this is the same CUCM group where IP phone, when tries to register, uses the CUCM group servers. So it will act like the same registration. The voice gateway MGCP voice gateway will try to register to the first server listed in the CUCM group, and then to the second, and then to the third. So maximum can be 3 call manager servers under one CUCM group. So, and then you, after these two important informations, it completely depends on what type of PRI, what type of TDM slots or TDM technology you have in your gateway. If you have FXO, then you have to choose accordingly. If you have a PRI, you have to choose on which slot that PRI or ISDN card is in place on the voice gateway. So this module or slot would be exactly how your ISDN card or PRI card has been placed on the voice gateway. So choose accordingly, and it will keep on giving you options on where to configure or how to configure, I mean which slot to select. Okay, so let me show you in that this in one of my lab call managers quickly. So this is my lab call manager. So as discussed in and seen in the PPT, we have to go to device, voice gateway, I mean this gateway, then from this page select. So on this page, click on add new. On this page, under the gateway type, it will have list of all the gateways. So when we are configuring a MGCP gateway, you have to select the model of the gateway. So suppose when we do a show version on our voice gateway, and if it shows that the model of the voice gateway is 4351, which is a 3rd generation router, so we have to select ISR 4351 and do next. On the next page, we have to select the protocol type, which will be MGCP in our case. Let it load. So here it would be MGCP, and then do next again, and finally we would be on the MGCP configuration page. So here, as discussed, under the domain name section, we have to put the domain name of the voice gateway, which is the combination of host name of the router dot domain name configured on the router. Then we have to select the CCM group here, and then we can select the modules here accordingly. So to proceed in selecting selecting the module and all, you have to first enter the domain name, CCM group, do a save, and then select the module, and that's it. It will list you the endpoints and the PRI slots here in front of it. Okay, and we are done. We have to configure that PRI. There are not much configuration under the PRI section. Okay, so this is the basic configuration on the call manager side. On the voice gateway side, there are few important. Actually, before we go to voice gateway configuration, let me actually show you how it looks when you select the proper slots. So suppose you name this voice gateway as test, select the cluster and do a save. I mean, select the CCM group, do a save, and then you will be able to select the module. Let it load. It's a bit slow today. Hmm. Then select the module. So this module is actually depends on the model of the router that you have selected. So it will display that module uh, here. So if you have selected another router, it might be a different module here. After you select this module on slot 0, do another save. And then you will have an option to select your submodules or subunits. So suppose you have NIM maybe 2MFT card. So if you select NIM 2MFT for subunit 1 and do save, it will show you option to configure two PRIs. So you'll be able to see those two options here. It will be displayed in some time once it gets loaded. See, so since we have selected 2MFT, which can be either a T1 or E1, so it's displaying two options here to select. Now this yellow question mark means it's not configured yet. Both of them are not configured yet. That's why it's showing a yellow question mark. Let's click on it and see what are the options we have here under it. Now we have these two options, either it can be T1, E1, and then do next. And then once the page is loaded, you will have all those options, which is completely depend on your configurations and organization. Like device pool, you want to put this endpoint in, location, this AR calling source space, all this call classification, all these options. It's completely dependent on your organization, and then it can be configured. Okay, so this is how we configure an endpoint and MGCP gateway on Call Manager. Now we will be seeing what are the important commands that are needed to configure a voice gateway as a MGCP gateway. So to configure a voice gateway as a MGCP gateway, there are two ways. Either it can be done manually or automatically. Most Yeah, preferable way is automatically all the organizations do that. So when I say automatically means the gateway will download all the MGCP configurations in XML format from call manager to the voice gateway. So how it is done? So you don't have to configure all the parameters, all the configurations. It's just four commands, four important commands. So it's MGCP, MGCP call agent with CUCM IP address, port which is by default MGCP port 2427, service type and version. So these two are important commands. Then we have these two commands: CUCM manager config server, CUCM IP address, and then CUCM manager config. Now let me explain you the meaning of all these commands. Now the first command, MGCP, actually enables the voice gateway to be configured as MGCP. It's kind of turning on the voice gateway to be configured as voice, or turning on the MGCP protocol on the voice gateway. So to turn off, you can do a no MGCP, and MGCP protocol will be turned off. So first command is MGCP. That means we are turning on the MGCP protocol and the voice gateway, and now it is ready to be configured as MGCP voice gateway. Next command is MGCP call agent, where we will be defining the IP address of that call manager from which this voice gateway will be registered. Here we are informing the voice gateway that your call agent, since MGCP is a client server protocol, so your server or your master would be this call manager, where we will be giving the IP address. You can also give the DNS or FQDN of that call manager. Port by default is 2427, service type MGCP, version 1, 0.1. So this is the command that we have to give. Now, since as discussed, it can be done, the configuration can be done automatically or manually. So for automatic, where we want the voice gateway to download all the MGCP configuration from call manager in form of XML files. So these are the two commands which are very important. So it downloads all the MGCP packages, RTP settings, fax settings, everything will be downloaded. So CCM manager config server and the IP address of that call manager from which this voice gateway will communicate and download all the XML files, all the configurations in form of XML files. Now, both the commands are very important. The first command means here we are instructing our voice gateway that this is the call manager IP address, this is the server from which you have to download the XML files. But what about the next command, CCM manager config? This command means we are enabling the voice gateway to download the XML files. So both the commands are important. If you put only the first command and you forgot to mention the next command, CCM as a config, voice gateway will also ignore the first command. So both the commands are very important. So let me reiterate this. Both the commands are important. The first command is where we are informing the voice gateway that this is the call manager IP from which you have to download your XML files. But second command enables the voice gateway to download. If you give only the first command, it won't be downloading it, because second commands enable it to download. So both commands work in side by side. Both are needed. Both commands are important. Now after you do mention this command, it will start downloading the configurations, MGCP configurations from the voice gateway. I mean from the call manager in form of XML files. Now, if it does not, so MGCP can be bounced. So to bounce the MGCP or reinitialize the MGCP, we can do no MGCP and then MGCP again, which bounces or reinitializes the MGCP. And this no MGCP is also needed whenever you do any change on the voice gateway or call manager. Do a no MGCP every time, bounce it. It's needed in case of MGCP. Now to see if call manager is downloading or how it's downloading the XML files, there is a debug that can be used to see. So let me write that debug here. So you guys can use debug CCM manager config download. This debug can be used to see how voice gateway and what are the steps that voice gateway is going through while downloading the configurations in form of XML from the call manager. Now, few important debug commands or show commands that can be used in call manager is we can do show CCM manager to see the registration status of MGCP gateway. If you do show CCM manager, here we will be able to see with which call manager the MGCP is registered. Is it registered with primary or the secondary? What is the complete domain name of this MGCP gateway? Everything is visible under this command. This is very important command. To see the status of MGCP endpoints, PRIFX, or anything that is being controlled by MGCP, we can do show MGCP endpoints. These are the important commands, show commands. We can also do show run to see the complete MGCP function configuration. We can do show run pipe section MGCP. It will show you the entire configuration, including all the commands that we have entered manually, plus the commands or the other configurations which got downloaded from the call manager. So we can do show run space pipe space section MGCP to see all the configurations. So this is the basics and almost everything that you should be knowing while configuring a voice gateway is MGCP voice gateway or MGCP gateway on the call manager side. In the next class, we would be learning about the debugs. Debugs, yes. And first, I will show you the MGCP endpoint registration process and how it looks on the debug side when an endpoint gets registered with the call manager. And finally, we will be seeing MGCP debugs for a call, how it looks when a call routing happens and what can be seen in the debugs. So till now, please take care, everyone. And if you have any questions, please mention that in the comment. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share this with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and let me know if you have any questions you want me to do any videos on some special topics. You can contact me for specialized trainings on this, or you can email me on my Gmail ID. Till then, everyone, tata, bye bye, and take care. Namaste.